Check 1 2. 1 2. Delicious meat. Delicious ice cream for the neighborhood. Plays the tune we all know and love.
I'm on this 1200 is fine, I guess, UG subreddit, which is just people bitching about the fact that they're eating a calorie-restricted diet and it sucks.
1200 is fine, I guess.
UG.
1200 sucks dick.
Yeah.
That's rough. Been there.
So I feel very validated scrolling through the sub.
Yeah, that's like a, support group.
Basically.
Wow, did some cats begin to fight in the background here, do you think?
Maybe.
We've summoned them.
There's always cats fighting somewhere. You know what I mean? Just 'cause you can't hear it or see it.
We should start praying for cat peace.
Yeah. Why don't we work on that? Everyone's trying to make world peace happen. Why can't we first get something a little bit smaller, do cat peace, all right?
That's a good idea right there.
Feral cats are out there fighting all the time, so prayers out to them.
And they're the only species as selfish as humans, so if we can do it with cats, it'll definitely happen with humans.
Yeah,
I have two cat-related stories. One is that we regularly trawl through the trailer parks of Nebraska City looking for cats. There's one that has human-friendly cats and one that has very, very feral cats, and that's in the meth lab trailer park.
That's the extra hard difficulty.
Yeah, it is. And then Ben, number one listener, Ben.
Hey, shout out to Ben.
Shout out to Ben.
Obligatory. Well, hey, Ben, how are you? All right, keep going.
That there's this corgi cat running around near his office. It's got stubby little legs like a corgi. So
That's a thing. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, yeah. So I told him, is it feral? He's like, well, it let me get kind of close and then ran away. I'm like, okay, so who knows? That sounds pretty typical cat behavior.
Maybe a little feral. Just a little. Touch of the feral.
Just a wee touch of the feral.
A taste of feral. But I told him to take one of our live traps and try to catch it, but he refused. So now the corgi cat remains a mystery.
And at large.
Yeah, he's like a superhero.
So
call our tip line if you happen to see the corgi cat.
Yeah. Real quick before we actually officially get started, let me just ask you, why are you trawling for these cats? For cat sacrifice or some sort of cat stew that you make?
Because in the trailer parks, nobody ever fixes them because they're all poor. So we take them to the Humane Society.
Oh, I see. Where they are humanely euthanized.
Yeah. No.
No?
Humanely euthanized, which is, of course, humanely live streamed to their Facebook page.
What is that called? They're fixed. They're spayed and neutered.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Cured of their feline AIDS and whatnot.
Yeah, and then they're put up for adoption.
Oh, and put up for adoption. And if no one gets them within 7 days, then they're humanely euthanized.
Yeah, it's to the live stream with them.
Yeah, they are actually a kill shelter, but I don't know of a non-kill shelter, and I don't know their kill policy, so I like to live in denial. I recently found out that the Nebraska Humane Society is a kill shelter. So
kill shelter. That sounds so hard.
That was
But
great.
You know what? The kill shelters, you can actually walk in, get an animal, and get the fuck out. These other rescues, they want you to spend hundreds of dollars. They want to interview 5 people. It's like a background investigation. Can you have a cat?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
That's because at the kill shelter, they're like, we're going to bash this thing's head in with a rubber mallet in 15 minutes if you don't take it out of here. So
Dude.
Here you go.
Dude.
Humanely. We're going to humanely.
Of course.
We're going to one time, just one hit.
Yeah,
right
one
then.
good smash. We'll give it a lot of, cat Vicodin beforehand, just in case we miss.
But not too much cat Vicodin because that shit's expensive.
Yeah, and we need some of that for our employees.
And yes, we will.
I feel like we're using up all our good material before we even start the show.
That's true. Perhaps we should get going here. Here we go. Welcome to a Shinn Show, a very special cat bashing edition. I'm your host, Pete Shinn. Joining me is Nick Shinn and Sarah Shinn in Omaha. Hello.
Salama,
what's
good
up
evening.
with your voice?
I'm just, first of all,
Is this a bit? Are you doing a bit right now?
Are you doing a bit?
First of all, I have allergies. That's thing number one. And the second thing, I was laughing so hard I was crying, which caused a buildup of phlegm and other materials in the back of my throat. I really didn't have a chance to swallow after I did my harmonica thing.
Everyone says they got allergies. They don't want to admit that they're diseased.
You sounded fine 5 minutes ago.
It was all the laughing until I cried over the humane cat killing that really did me in there. I'm still...
This
Right.
week,
Which, by the way, also present, Elsie Shinn here. And can I just say, no cats were harmed in the discussion of this podcast.
Yes.
None that we know of,
Very good.
personally. We don't condone or participate in it, except
At this
for our
particular
personal
moment.
amusement.
Right.
Yeah, except for personal amusement. That being said,
Yes.
I mean, what's the most humane way to bash a cat's head in with a mallet? Excuse me.
Wrap it in a
Quickly.
blanket
Are
first.
those
Wrap it.
the two parameters that I can't change?
One of them's a rubber mallet and one of them's a steel mallet.
With
Here's-
force. I
Here's the problem, though. Bashing
Yeah.
a cat with a mallet is much like trying to get a fly with a fly swatter.
Right.
Just before you get them, they're off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why you got to wrap it in a
That's
blanket
what the Vicodin is
first.
for, right? It makes them sleepy.
No,
Yeah.
the blanket. Wrap them in a blanket. Give them Vicodin. I don't know what the order is.
Nice and cozy. Yeah, in whatever order you see fit.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'll hold the competition and get the pudding for the proof.
Although I will say this, I'm a cat person. I'm a cat lover. I like cats even better than I do dogs, actually. And
Except
yeah.
my cat.
well, your cat. No one likes your cat. Let's.
I
That,
like
Love
your
my
cat.
cat.
Your
Right?
cat's all right.
Your
It's
cat-
not very friendly, but I get that. I understand that.
right. So whatever. I like her cat as much as anyone can like any unfriendly cat. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
All right. So in any
A
event,
medium amount.
It's not like it's unfriendly. It just doesn't. It's not going to stick around.
it's
Look, it's not
actively
friendly.
hostile at times. What do you mean? I mean, if it doesn't like the way you're petting her, she'll just bite you.
Well, it doesn't. She never even gave me the option to pet her anytime I've been there,
That's my
But-
point.
She knows what she wants.
Right.
and that's fine. I understand that. I wouldn't want a stranger coming into my house and petting me either. So
Look, the point is, this is
Unless it
Peter's
was,
market
for money.
research. He's going to figure out how to bash a cat, and my cat's going to die.
yeah,
Anyway, yeah, I agree. No one can walk into my house and pet me except for money or unless in other unusual circumstances involving certain people. So in any
Yeah.
event, look, let's not get into all that. This is the point. The point is that I'm more of a cat person, so I don't condone cat bashing under any circumstances. However, it does remind me of one of my favorite stories about my father, your grandfather, Faye. Would you like to hear it at this time?
Let's do it.
All right.
Like,
So
I only have like 3 Grandpa Faye stories, so I'm here for it.
Well, okay, and this is probably one you've already heard, but I was about 13 years old, maybe 12. We're in Roswell, New Mexico, where we've just moved. We're driving in our neighborhood in the evening time in my father's Chevy Chevette, one of the last cars he ever owned, God rest his soul, and this cat darts out in front of us. My dad doesn't slow down. He doesn't swerve. He does not change direction. He runs over the cat. Boom, boom, boom. And he looks over at me with a grin on his face and says, dun-a-dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust
Holy shit.
and keeps on
Dope.
driving.
dope.
Yeah, that's a true Uncle Faye story, or Grandpa Faye
That-
story right there.
That's red-blooded American spirit right there.
I've never heard that story.
Really? You've
But-
never heard that
but-
story?
I've heard that story.
But I like that our twisted sense of humor is inherited.
Right.
It's genetic.
Comes
so.
down across the generations.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a little far. I don't know if I would take it there, but yeah. If I killed some sort of varmint, I would say that.
Well,
I would say that exact thing.
he clearly considered cats to be varmints. I do not.
That's true.
I do not. All right. So welcome to a Shinn Show. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Elsie. Welcome, myself. And, of course, big news week this week. But before we get into that, I'd like all of us to have just one moment of silence as we mourn the death of my March Madness bracket.
Oh, Auburn's still in, which means I am the only one in the office that has that bracket still going.
The best part is Auburn beat Kentucky, so your victory
Yeah.
is your father's loss.
Yeah, that does make it a little more special, doesn't it? Anytime you can defeat your father, there's something very deeply satisfying and Freudian about it.
In true George Lucas fashion.
It's true.
Maybe we should do our own March Madness brackets next year.
Yeah.
Totally could.
In
I
the
have
group.
the same strategy, which is basically throw darts at a fucking bracket and see what sticks.
Well, your strategy appears to be successful at this point. So,
I'll tell you this much.
Yes.
I've said this a number of times, but basically, in video games, when you have a skill chart, you get to a point, certain skill levels or whatever. all of my skill points went into intelligence and luck, and I'm thinking most of them went into luck. So,
yeah.
Oh, I don't
I'm
think so.
lucky.
I got a lot in luck. Almost all of them in luck. Actually, I don't know.
I got like 6, probably 6 in intelligence and 4 in luck.
I only got like half the amount of points you were even supposed to get. And
That's
they
because you're the
went
second
luck.
born. That's how that works.
So the only special attribute I have is luck, and it's not even that much luck.
No, hang
You've got
on.
a lot of charm.
Yes.
You're high on charm and
Oh,
charisma.
that's true. You got high charisma.
Yeah, I mean, enough chloroform will make anyone charming to a certain. But I see your point.
Yes. Right. No, I would agree that you do have a certain amount of charisma points, and you're not exactly stupid most of the time.
Yeah,
Wow.
What?
I don't know.
yeah.
Was that an endorsement?
Endorsement.
I agree.
Right.
There could
You're
have been
not
worse.
Clinically,
Yeah, like, haven't got diagnosed by a doctor, and so there's that going for you, right?
Right. To quote Dwight Yoakam in Sling Blade, I mean, you're not the kind of retard that drools and rubs shit on your hair or anything.
Yeah. Not unprovoked or anything like that, at least.
By the way, we also don't condone the use of the word retard for anybody who might be offended by
Or the use of Dwight Yoakam in films.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Right. Is that like a bad thing? What else? What horrific thing has that person I've never heard of before done?
Dwight Yoakam
Right.
Dwight Yoakam was a country star in the late 90s who was cast in Sling Blade, which won an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay, and starred Billy Bob Thornton in his breakout role. Billy Bob also directed it and wrote it, so he won an Oscar right out of
I
first
didn't
time
know
out of the
that.
game. He did.
It's an excellent flick, yeah.
And in which Billy Bob Thornton, I mean,
Word vomit. Sounded like Voldemort and retard fused together. Billy Bob retard. Right? Okay.
what I meant though was that Billy Bob Thornton, played a developmentally disabled character who had been institutionalized for killing his mother, and got out and ended up.
Bashed your head in with a mallet, right?
Oh no, it was with a sling blade. Some people calls it a Kaiser blade. I calls it a sling blade. Mm-hmm. In any event, so
The fuck is either a sling or Kaiser blade?
well,
Yeah.
apparently
It's a blade.
yeah, it's a
Like
machete.
a kukri.
It's a machete scythe
what?
kind. What's a
Like a
kukri?
kukri.
Yeah, yes.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Kukri is like a machete, but instead of it being real long, it's only like a foot long, maybe, and it's bent in the middle.
Yeah,
You've seen it.
yeah, kind of like
Right.
that.
It's like
It's
a
Like a
boomerang.
mini scythe.
Kind of looks like a boomerang, but it's a knife with a handle. Kind of, but it's not that sharp of an angle at the bend.
Yeah.
Who
Okay.
knew there were so many types of knives?
Yeah,
Oh,
kukri is like the swamp jungle, safari man type thing.
Yeah, and you can easily chop a cat's head off with it. But that's not the
Yeah.
point. The point is that Dwight Yoakam in this movie, Sling Blade, plays this schmuck of an asshole character who is this little boy's quasi-stepfather that Billy Bob Thornton takes a liking to, the boy, not the stepfather. And so when the boy brings Billy Bob Thornton around the house, that's what Billy Bob Thornton hears from Dwight Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam says to Billy Bob Thornton, "Oh, you're not the kind of retard that drools and rubs shit in his hair, are you?" And, goes from there. But anyway,
And
the point...
we're pretty sure that Nick's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not maybe.
Well, not unprovoked, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But if I find a reason to rub shit in my hair and drool, then I will do it. I have done it for less than what you
Less
asked.
than what?
Right.
We're gonna leave that part of it.
Less than a suggestion, that's for sure. All right.
So anyway, Dwight Yoakam's performance in Sling Blade was widely panned by critics, but I personally, as a moviegoer, thought it was an absolute perfect representation of a redneck prick. I thought
Yeah.
he did a great job. So
Yeah. Well, good.
yeah.
This just
Anyway.
in. I guess I need to watch that movie.
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
to.
Yes.
like Dad's
oh, yeah.
all-time favorite movie is Sling Blade.
Oh, I can quote it at length, obviously. So
I like
anyway,
them French fried taters.
mm-hmm.
I don't like coffee. Makes me nervous when I drink it.
It makes me butt nervous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do a pretty good Sling Blade impersonation as well.
Yeah, I've seen you doing your Sling Blade impersonation, even when you think no one's watching at 4 in the morning.
Well, when
4 in
people
the
think
morning's a little ominous.
Right.
Two-
well, when people think you look like Billy Bob Retord, you might as well sound like him.
Yeah. That's Dad's bizarro alter ego.
Billy Bob Retort.
Retort.
Yeah.
He has
Anyway.
a couple because you got to squeeze Jeff Goldblum in there too somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Jeff Goldblum is just like some sort of failed clone, or maybe Dad's the failed clone.
I think that's a lot more accurate.
One of them is the failed clone.
Right. Couldn't we both be successful in our own ways?
I guess, yeah.
No, one of you has to be the retort.
I guess, yeah. That was the hidden third option.
Well, all right. So anyway, we haven't even talked at all about the news of the week, and I don't know what the news really is, other than Matt.
So there was a lot of it. How do you not know what it is?
Well, I was busy, and the news didn't really seem that exciting to me, so I didn't pay that much attention.
Well, that's good. That's fine then. Fine, just fine.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, how about you lead us off with news?
Oh shit,
Well,
man!
why don't you lead us off with that thing you wanted to do?
I do have some discussion topics
All
for
right.
you guys.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Let's just jump into this. So I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Wait. Let me just preface this with, usually we discuss things at great length, but we don't ever have like a side that we have to pick. So that's kind of the forte of this thing right here.
We want a definitive answer from everyone.
Yeah. This
Okay.
side or this side, and you got to, obviously tell why.
Okay,
Well,
I'm listening.
Okay, so I don't really have a side on this, but the first question is, when did Americans become rude?
I have an answer on this.
Okay.
The answer is approximately 1610, 1620, in that time frame. I mean, look, let's face it. When you're bringing slaves into the country, isn't that rude? Isn't that kind of offensive? Hey,
Yeah.
look.
Offensive and rude are 2 different things, though, aren't they?
Well, it's rude the way they treated slaves.
I don't
Downright.
think they're mutually
That's
exclusive.
cruel. I don't know that I would necessarily call that rude.
Yeah, I think that even might be a shade above rude.
Yeah.
So does that include rude? What do you mean? This all kind of depends on what you define as rude,
Yeah,
exactly.
it really
You
does.
mean in the conventional, current, like everyone hates Americans type context?
Yeah.
I would say probably like the 80s is when that shit happened.
I
Here's
don't know,
what I'll say
dog.
too is that this question kind of, I was thinking about it earlier, it kind of gives into that illusion of the 1950s, the 1960s, the 40s, all of that were this golden age, right? And everything was perfect and nothing went wrong and everybody was well liked and polite and loved their neighbor.
They were mighty racist back then, though. weren't they?
Exactly. Thank you.
So that's pretty rude.
Yeah, so my point is this, that we as a society have never been particularly polite. Americans have never, ever in our history been known as these polite people. We've been known as people who get what we want, typically by force, for a long, long time.
Well, I would offer that most people at some point in time came to America, right, from wherever they were. And the type of character traits, personality traits it would require to actually be willing to leave everything behind and go strike out for something more and better for yourself is both brave but also selfish. So you come over and they also keep all the cultural norms from where they were. So like, oh, well, you Indians are savages. We're so much better than you. So, I mean, and then everybody who has come has had these similar types of traits within them. And then it just kind of has become the culture itself to be like self-important, self-aggrandizing, very much like, I'll be nice to you if it benefits me. And other than that, fuck it.
And
that's kind of the culture of America.
And that right there is why we are unquestionably the greatest nation on earth.
God bless America.
That's right.
Yeah, so the answer is that we were always rude, and anybody who says otherwise is fooling themselves.
Is in for an ass beating, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so screw you, pal.
Slap
Screw
a
you.
train conductor hat on their ass and get ready.
I mean, we do know where they live. Which brings me to my next little segment here. I like to call these Nick Shinn fun facts.
Oh, before we get to this, though, before we get to the Nick Shinn fun facts, I would simply note, since immigration came up, that is something that came up this week. From a news point of view, there's threats now by the president to close the border. Just FYI.
Oh, typical.
Oh, no.
He's been threatening that for 2 years.
That's true.
Yeah, but okay, you kind of took me out of my groove here.
Sorry, get back into it. Back into it. Nick Shinn fun
back
facts.
into it. I'm getting back into it. Yeah, Nick Shinn fun fact. Did you know that the U.S. government owns GPS?
Yes, I did know that.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
In fact,
I didn't know that either. Very interesting.
It's
the U.S. government owns the satellites that GPS works off of. There is a European equivalent called Halo, but it's not as widely used, I don't think. And also, they have to, I think it's annually, send out updates to the GPS system to account for the satellites moving with something about the magnetic pole or something.
The magnetic pole moves, and when the magnetic pole moves, you need to update the software on the GPS system so that true north can be ascertained.
There you go. There you have it.
Moreover, it's not just the U.S. government that owns these satellites. Specifically, it's the U.S. Air Force that launches them, maintains them, keeps them in orbit, sends those software updates. That's all us, baby, all Air Force.
Hey, so I have a question.
Yeah.
People like Google and Apple who, use GPS, do they have to pay a licensing fee? How does that work?
No, it's public use. If you know how to access it, you can use it.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
How do I access it?
You are accessing it right now with every device that you have.
Oh, good point. Okay. All right. Never mind. I thought it would be cooler than that. I thought I could
How do you access it? You just do it. You are doing it now. You've been doing it. Congratulations.
Here's the funny thing about all of that to me is we've got this whole group of people in my office known as GeoBase, and all they do is geo mapping of Air National Guard information. And for a while, for over a year, we were without a contract to do it because they're all contractors. So we were using Google Photos to do the work that we needed to do. So we were basically using a second party, using what the Air Force already owns to get our job done.
Nice.
That's pretty funny.
Bureaucracy at its finest, baby.
Exactly.
Getting the job done. Contractors. All right. In any event, next question.
What else you got?
Yeah.
The other question I got here is really more of a philosophical question in that why don't we have hostels?
We do. We have a lot of hostile people. We've already covered that ground.
Okay. Bottom.
So funny.
No, in Asia and in European and Asian countries, hostels are very popular. Not always, but you hear or have heard about people backpacking across Europe and staying in hostels.
So just so we're clear, a hostel is something where it's not a hotel, it's a bunk in a dorm, and it's like a shared bathroom type situation. It's cheap, but you're there staying with a bunch of people.
Yeah, they used to have something called the YMCA in large cities where you could do something like that. And they still do. Yeah,
they still have the Y. I don't know if they still hold that. My Y does not rent rooms.
Well, you were in Omaha. Well, that's true, but they used to. So we used to have,
at the YMCA.
Right? You can get a good meal. You can have a good time. You can do what the boys all feel, and so on.
Okay, so they did. We're just ignorant about it.
Yes,
capitalism has seriously taken over since the 80s. So if you're not making money on it, why do it?
And plus, people in America don't want to fucking hang out with people in America. You know what I'm saying? If they're going to go travel somewhere, I would like to pay for a hotel room where I'm not around other filthy, disgusting Americans.
We're pretty insular.
And you can get a filthy, disgusting hotel room typically for $29.95.
Yeah. So there you have it.
And a clean one for $50 at, Motel 6.
Clean asterisk.
What's the asterisk?
It has been cleaned within the last year.
This hotel runs on clean, burning styrofoam.
Right. Produced by Dan Valen.
The asterisk means don't look in the bathroom. Don't look in the corners too closely.
Got it. All right. Very good. Well, actually, I stayed at a hotel like that. Late 90s. I was a traveling salesman at the time, and I was traveling to Fort Lee, New Jersey to sell advertising to an agricultural pharmaceutical company. They didn't buy. By the way, they didn't buy. No one bought from me. I was a terrible salesman. Anyway, but I didn't rent a hotel. I was just getting a hotel. I was showing up at a hotel. Only place I could find. It's off, it's right outside of New York City. It's, it's a horrible rundown, terribly, the door doesn't shut right. You are in a bad place when there's a giant heart-shaped red hot tub in the middle of the room and it has cigarette butts in it. How do you get cigarette butts in a hot tub? I don't know. I don't know how you get cigarette butts in a hot tub. I guess you use the hot tub.
Obviously, if you're smoking while you're in the hot tub, yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the ashtray on the nightstand and you say, fuck it, I'm in a hot tub, and you put the shit out in there.
I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, but even then, the water puts out the cigarette, so how do you get the burn? Anyway, bottom line is that the door wouldn't lock, so I slept on top of the bed in all my clothes.
Oh, well, that's neat.
Heartwarming.
That's another story from Jersey, 1998.
Jersey.
The worst hotel I've ever stayed in was also in New Jersey in '96. So go figure.
Yeah.
I think not.
The worst hotel I ever stayed at was in Kansas City, actually. It was a Knights Inn.
Oh,
Never
Knights
again.
Inn. Yeah. Knights don't actually stay there. That's a myth.
It is a myth. It's false advertising.
I was expected to be treated at least like an earl. You know?
Like a squire, at least.
I was
expected a squire
action.
Right. But instead I was treated like a serf. It was very unsatisfactory. That'd call it serfs in. All right. Anyway.
Thrown in stocks and sodomized by the town people as they walk by.
I was treated like a serf in a brothel. I will leave it at that.
I see. Bad. All right. Well then, enough about hotels. So that was it, huh? That was the whole segment. That was the whole bit.
That was my discussion topics.
Hey.
Well, I got several questions.
Okay,
Let's
before
do
you
it.
get into that, though, I want to tie back into Sarah's comment about feeling like a serf in a brothel to mention that Joe Biden has been accused of inappropriate kissing in 2014. Joe Biden is not dead. You're thinking of Joe Stalin.
I'm thinking of John McCain.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not confusing Joe Biden with Joseph fucking Stalin, dude. Come on now.
Despite our discussion of...
I don't know. They're pretty similar.
I guess, yeah, they do look. They have that, I don't know, dictatory vibe about them. They got that gleam in their eye where it seems.
No, they do not.
They both do.
Two, Joe Biden and Joe Stalin?
Yeah, I can imagine, Joe Biden, doing a double front flip out of a Panzer tank onto the ground and then just, looking up and his eyes are glowing red. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I have never got that vibe from Joe Biden.
And then he
No.
unleashes his true
Not at
power
all.
and becomes the reincarnation of
Snowy
Joseph
grandfatherly Joseph Biden.
Yeah.
Well, I
It
know...
reminds me of the Funkle that you don't actually want to spend too much time with.
Yeah, because he might get a little handsy.
You know what it is? There were all of those sad Biden memes in 2012.
Yeah.
Aww.
That's what it is.
Now, making fun of Joe Biden, just like refusing the playful advances of your shop teacher, is very dangerous.
Well said,
So
son.
I've been told.
I just know one thing, right? Which is that I've never seen Joe Biden and Joe Stalin in the same place. Have you? No, I don't think so. So
Look into it. That's all I'm saying.
do your
Look
research. That's all I'm saying.
Read up on your sources, bitches. You know what I mean? Just stay woke. Don't be a sheeple.
No, so anyway, but seriously, Joe Biden has been accused of some untoward advances in 2014 as he mulls a presidential run. I don't know. I think Joe Biden would be just fine not running for president. I think that's fine.
What do you mean untoward advances? Was he?
He apparently, he apparently kissed the back of the head of somebody, some fundraiser or something.
He aggressively shifted his walker towards a nurse as she was trying to escape the room. He slammed the door shut and locked it and said, "It's Biden time."
I am deeply uncomfortable with this line.
I'm just telling you, man. He's been accused.
He had this crazy look in his eye, and he said, "Let's get it on." For a
Some
second,
music
I
started
actually thought I was going to be raped. All right.
Yeah, so
That's from Step Brothers. Okay, so Joe Biden, stay off the, Cialis or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Give it a rest, brother. All right. Anyways,
with your totally wild back of head kissings.
well,
Yeah, it's
I've heard,
inappropriate.
I mean, it is.
Was he kissing the back of her head, or was he planting something there? Maybe he had like a little
With his
microchip
mouth.
in his teeth. Yeah, and he just put it right there in the back of her fucking head. Maybe he was putting some, arsenic in her hair or something like that. Maybe there's some
Maybe
dark
he did it after he somersaulted out of a Panzer with red eyes.
Yeah, with red eyes and I forgot to mention this, but also a flowing black trench coat.
I will say
Yeah.
this. We were downtown yesterday eating dinner, and as we were leaving downtown, we saw some cowboy boots sticking out of a truck window. And as we watched, a guy wriggled out of the moving vehicle and did a tuck and roll and just walked out. It was weird as hell.
how fast was this truck moving?
10, 15 mile an hour.
Oh, that's not that fast.
Was he in the process of being abducted?
I don't know.
What
The
kind of truck
cowboy
was
boots
it?
kind of matched the truck. So I want to say that he was just in a hurry to get to his reservation or something. And
He's like,
didn't
it'll
want to-
park itself. Yeah. Hop out the truck.
Ooh-wee, those Duke boys are at it again. Well, that's interesting. All right, so Nick, on to your questions.
Okay, all right. Here's something we're gonna take it back a few years for everybody.
All right.
What was the worst teacher that you ever had? What was their name? Why were they the worst teacher?
Okay.
Mine was high school history, Mr. Ritchie, and he was both racist and hated gays. So,
Racist and homophobic. Cool.
Yeah. So that was great. I had a fun time in that class, and I hated him and his daughter, who happened to be in my class. So that might have biased me a little bit, but he was a huge piece of shit. And also his class was really boring. So
fuck that guy. Okay. Cool.
Shout out to you, Mr. fucking Richie.
All right. Wow. Okay. Nick.
Okay. My worst teacher that I ever had is in fifth grade. Her name was Miss Golden. I hated that bitch. She always thought I was trying to be funny. I would ask her things or try to do things, and she would think I was trying to make a fucking joke or something. So she would always get mad at me. Or you know what? I liked Miss Lambert in third grade, but this was before I knew what sighing was. So sometimes I would just be like, I would just breathe heavily. And she would think that was the most offensive fucking thing you could ever do. And she would just be like, yeah, hang on 1 second. I would just breathe out. And she'd be like, oh my God, you got to give me 1 second. You don't have to sit there and give me all this attitude and all this shit. But
that's funny. That's just like your father and I.
It's so true. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's
you
true.
guys would be some bitch ass teachers then, in my opinion.
No,
I'm sensing some marital strain here. What's going on?
Well,
No,
so
not at all.
it's fine. But when I shared with Elsie, hey, we're going to do this podcast at 7, right? I said, ooh, dinner's going to be right at 7. Can you push for 25 minutes, right? So that's why we're a little late getting started. And then you sent the picture of you scowling, and I showed it to her, and she said, well, you just tell them that their stepmom says to suck it. And like,
right? It's funny, right?
And I'm like, and I gave a sigh. And perhaps
No. It was not the sigh. It was the look. It was the look of, oh my God, did you just fucking tell my kids to suck it? And I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
But I didn't say a thing. But all of a sudden, there was a big uproar. I don't know. I mean, I didn't say anything.
Your eyes said it all, baby.
That's what your third grade teacher said.
So on behalf of myself and Major League Baseball, I apologize.
Yeah, and on behalf of Nick's third grade teacher.
Well, no, let me give a shout out.
No,
to
fuck that
Lambert.
bitch.
I liked Miss Lambert. She was cool. She had an obsession with frogs. She had a bunch of frogs in her fucking classroom and all that shit. Miss Golden was a huge bitch. I hate that bitch. I still do.
That is so hilarious.
Fifth grade. She always thought I was trying to play a joke on her, like I was trying to trick her or something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, will you just fucking leave me alone and let me,
be a child,
be a clown,
a sad clown or a happy clown.
Sad clown. Send in the clowns.
Oh wait, they're here, or whatever. I forget how that song goes. All right, so now Elsie, you go next. Worst teacher. Elsie loved all of her teachers.
We've lost her.
I had you on mute because I was taking a banana cake out of the oven.
Ooh.
And it's going right back in. See, this is hard for me. I grew up in a very small town where everybody knew everybody, and I'm still friends with a lot of people that live there, and I'm actually friends with some of my old teachers on Facebook. So
you don't want to put them on blast.
I'm at risk here, but I'm just going to go ahead and say Mr. Frank. Not because he was this bad person to me or anything, but there was a lot of student lore about him being the creepy PE teacher that would watch the boys get dressed and whatnot. And he had this habit of when he was in class, whenever we were watching movies or anything, instead of actually learning, he would have this habit of just he would stick his tongue out and touch the tip of his nose with his tongue and just stay like that. It would just be that was his resting face.
Was this man a serpent by any chance? Sort of
Pretending
lizard
to be a human?
Shirt?
And to make it all worse, his first name was Gail.
Gail Frank.
And so we all Gail Frank. And yes, there was a lot of stories about poor Mr. Frank.
Gail Frank, PE teacher by day, monitor lizard by night.
Sometimes not even by night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes they overlap.
Yeah, that's creepy. It really is. Okay, good one. And I'll tell you what, we're going to promise not to tell anyone in your hometown about this. Well,
I mean, I kind of already sent a mass text, but
Right.
to
We're
everyone.
not doing anything else.
Right, to
Okay,
everyone
good.
in
That's
Hotchkiss,
fair.
Colorado. Yeah.
All right. What about you, dear?
All right. So my worst teacher ever was in college. He was my college drama 101 teacher. His name was Pat Rucker, and everyone called him Rat Fucker. Because
To give you an idea, to set the ambiance here.
because why not? Because you could. Because
it rhymes. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Perfect.
Yeah,
How could you not?
it was perfect. Anyway, so I really did my best in Drama 101. And frankly, I was quite, I did a very good job in that class. How can you not do a good job in Drama 101, right? You show up, you memorize the material, you act out the scenes. I did all that, and you know what that fucker gave me? A C+. A fucking C+. That's what he gave me. Worst grade of the semester, and it's the class that I had enjoyed the most up to that point. You know what I did? I looked at that grade and said, well, gosh, I must not be any good at drama, and it changed the entire course of my life. Thanks a lot, rat fucker.
If he could
Rat
only
fuck.
see how dramatic you're being now, he would have given you an A.
Yeah.
Right, if he'd only known how dramatic I am in my everyday life,
How
obviously.
dramatic the heights of dramatics that I could ascend to.
Right, exactly. Just in talking, All right, anyway. Yeah.
Bastard. All right, rat fucker, rotten hell.
He's undoubtedly dead by now. I mean, shit, that was 36.
I will say that one of my best teachers was my Calc 1 teacher, who, despite me showing up late and sleeping through most of the class, still gave me a passing grade.
Yeah, way to go, whoever
Yeah.
that was. Good job. But this isn't about good teachers.
I had him for Calc 1 and Calc 3, and I passed Calc 3 much higher. It was not at 6 p.m. after I had gone to class all day and then worked. So
Right. And drunk heavily. All right,
Well.
anyway. Well. All right.
Okay, so this one kind of pertains to what you were talking about earlier a little bit. I can't remember what it was or how, but I do remember that this question popped up in my mind when we were talking about it. So we got right now, our generation has the flat Earth conspiracy, which is the dumbest fucking shit on Earth.
Second dumbest after anti-vaxxers, but yes, right up there.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good point.
true.
They
so,
go hand in
Dad,
hand.
what was your Dad and Elsie? What was your flat Earth conspiracy of your generation?
Of my generation. Let's see. The flat Earth conspiracy of my generation was that Nixon was framed. Nixon was railroaded. Nixon should have stayed in office. That was the... Actually, that's not true.
What about,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about the moon landing was fake?
Well, that's still a thing. That's been a thing for, since it happened.
Ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Kennedy assassination. Yes, we all know that there was some kind of conspiracy. Nothing happens in a vacuum. But who was really responsible? Who can say?
There were some conspiracies around the Clintons, but who can remember them? Because the big one for people my age was that 9/11 was an inside job.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the ones around the Clinton, that's a good one. Yeah, the Clinton, the whole Clinton thing was, they killed
That
Vince
real
Foster
estate
and
thing?
yeah, Whitewater. I mean, they did a bunch.
Whitewater.
The fact is that, I don't even want to get into it because there's been a lot of people that's done a lot of shady shit for a lot of years. That's life.
Okay, excellent. So here's something a little bit lighter, something to lighten up the mood a little bit.
No doubt.
Okay.
Let's
So
do
what
it.
song would you play at your funeral?
Oh, what song would I play at my funeral?
Yeah.
Oh, I've already.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself
a real good time.
All right.
I feel alive. Yeah.
And the world.
Turn it upside down.
Okay. All right. Didn't mean
Can I
to turn
can I
that.
choose a song in context? I just
Yes.
want them to play like the Humane Society commercial where it's Sarah McLachlan singing.
Oh,
I
the
Remember You and all the
ASCPA.
stat. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. That's a good.
It's the only reason why anybody would cry. So
Oh, that's not true. I'd be sad.
you're gonna die before I do, honey.
Most likely.
All right.
Well, how do you think? Rubber mallet or steel mallet?
Whichever's the most humane.
Want to go with titanium? Because here's a Nick Shinn fun fact for you. Titanium transfers 60% of the blow, while steel only transfers 40%.
I see.
Go with titanium.
All right. We won't even get into rubber then. All right. So,
Well,
Yeah.
rubber's for more comical effect.
What you
know?
do in the bedroom is completely up to you.
That's funny right there.
Stay
That's
out of
very
my
funny.
Noggin.
What
Thank you.
material your mallets are made out of and what purposes and what velocity you swing them at are completely up to you as consenting adults.
In the privacy of your own home.
We don't need to bring legislation into this.
Right.
Right?
The safe word is humane society. All right, anyway. I guess that's 2 words. All right, so, what song would I want played at my own funeral? I guess I would probably want something played like Burning Hell by John Lee Hooker.
Yeah.
I don't know
that'd be
that
cool.
one.
You-
I'll have to look it up later.
Yeah,
But I like the title.
as Guy Shinn would say, that's a good one. It always makes me cry.
Always makes me cry. Reminds me of home.
Right. No, basically the song is, I don't believe in no heaven. I don't believe in no hell. Where I die, I don't know. No one tell me. Burn in hell. Anyway, so.
All right.
All right.
Get
I
on my
would
knees.
play When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings by Buster Scruggs.
Oh, that's a good idea right there.
I'm kidding. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, it'd be something more like maybe Beer by Psycho Stick. Let's go
That is
drink
the
some
most- That is the most frat boy answer I have heard.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm trying to think of something ridiculous. Maybe just Calliope music.
And for the theme, it's going to be inside a circus tent, the services, and there's going to be little monkeys running around. Everybody will be handed a Jack in the Box.
But one monkey, the monkeys will be running around serving hors d'oeuvres on little trays, but one monkey will have rabies. No one knows which monkey it is. That's the little game you play.
Everybody will be required to wind their Jack in the Box at the precise moment when Nick Jack in the Box out of his coffin.
Yeah, when I jack in a box out of my coffin with, 20 to 30 pounds of C4 strapped to my chest.
Still dead,
And
of
everyone
course.
will be wearing their Blue Man Group ponchos.
Well, this is very Joker funeralish.
I guess.
Well, Brad does not have a song picked out, but he has told his aunt since he was 10 years old that at his funeral, he wants somebody to just sit in a Grim Reaper outfit in the back of the room and just sit there silently and just stare at people.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're
Right?
next, pal.
That's a nice touch of flair.
Yeah, it is. Really is. Yeah, I guess I don't know what music I'd like played at my funeral. I got to give these matters some thought, though. I'm no spring chicken.
Yeah. You're going to want to draft that up.
This is a little morbid, but I went to a funeral recently within the past month, and they played a ton of music, ton of Christian rock. And I was
see.
just like, can we move this along? Like by the fifth song, I was like, oh, okay, we get it. She's in God's arms,
Right.
who's on a cross on a hill that's bathed in sunlight.
Yeah,
There's-
maybe like the
there's
91
doves flying.
Giants, just like
Yeah.
cresting a hill.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Okay.
it's a little macabre, but maybe pick one song for your funeral. Just
I assumed
one.
that was the deal. I think it's kind of selfish to whatever. Anyway, so
Yeah.
we've gone over that.
Right. Because we don't want to. You're right, though. I don't want to play an album. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just one song.
At my funeral, I want the entire Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon front to back played. And everyone has to sit there. I'm going to fucking haunt them.
Right. Or better yet, just the entire discography of Pink Floyd, up to and
It's a
including
3-day event.
right up to and including The Wall. But then after that, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm glad we figured that out. That does make sense to me now. We'll start at Piper at the Gates of Dawn and just move all the way through The Wall. And
Yeah.
everybody who doesn't listen to the whole thing is going to be haunted.
Yeah, they're going to be haunted, or the first one to get up and leave is out of the will.
I mean, that seems pretty cut and dry, right? It's pretty straightforward. I accept those terms.
Yeah, exactly. I like the idea. Since we can't guarantee haunting, we're going to have to go with that other thing. Oh, hey, look who's here. Elsie is joining me here in the sound booth. That's why you're getting this feedback. So she's going to... Oh, good. She's exiting. She's left the meeting. Ah, that's better.
Thank you for the play-by-play.
Oh, thank you. I wanted you to know what was
better.
happening.
But I can't hear anything.
Yeah, you can't hear anything because you got to plug into here. We're doing a whole separate thing here. Actually,
All right,
why
well,
don't you
while
grab
you're
those
doing that,
headphones?
let me give you something for your consideration, okay?
All right, I'm listening.
What is one thing that you didn't like, you started off hating or disliking, but that grew on you eventually? Sarah, you go first. Something
One thing
you
that I-
hated
Black coffee.
Black coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
I keep wanting to like coffee, like to get used to the
Let's
taste,
see.
like I
Give
did
it
with beer. But
give it 5 years, because then you'll be the age that I am now, and your taste buds will have died enough that you can then enjoy coffee. Although I did read a thing recently that said you're supposed to cut your coffee with salt before you do sugar, because salt is more effective at neutralizing bitter tastes.
Yes.
okay, but that seems bad for you, though, right?
No.
I'm 28. I don't have to worry about that right now.
What you do is you put the salt in the grounds, you see.
Yeah.
You
And
just-
then you sweeten it if you want. And I did that. I tried that. I tried putting some salt in with my coffee grounds, but then my coffee just tasted salty.
Yeah, so, well, you don't want to use too much. You just want to, like 2 taps is what you want, a couple of sprinkles.
Clearly, I put too much salt in.
Huh.
I double up on the coffee anyway, so I make like 8 cups and then put a 4th cup of coffee grounds in there because it's real strong. I need that real strong brew in the morning.
Yeah, I just drink that Chinese Mountain Dew at my work if I need some caffeine.
All right, so repeat
See,
the
but
question because we were messing around with a bunch of.
Okay, so the
food.
question is, what's some shit that you liked, or something that you did not like or hated, but that grew on you over time?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to count just about every addictive substance I've ever been into.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can start there. Smoking in particular, hated that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Got real used to that in a hurry. Alcohol, really got into that pretty quickly, but I didn't like it at first. Tasted horrible. And
Yeah.
you could go down a list. And then also, I mean, more recently and perhaps less destructively in my life, I would have to say Monster, which I judged harshly. But when I tasted a 0-calorie Monster, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
little mouse dummies.
You know what mine is? Mine's onions. I really fucking hated onions my whole life, but now I'm starting to like
When they're
good now.
sauteed.
When they're on something like a burger, you throw some onions on a burger, that's good. Onion rings are good to me now. Like they
Ooh,
got that little zing to them.
I gotta say, mustard. That's another one that I hate.
I've always loved mustard.
Mustard was gonna be
Horseradish.
mine.
I used to
Yeah.
fucking hate horseradish, and I love horseradish now. Yeah.
That's your taste buds dying. Welcome
Spicy
to adulthood.
mustard. Kind of spicy shit in general. I was always kind of a huge bitch about spicy foods. I still kind of am, but like I'll eat it now though because it tastes good. Like
Yeah.
it hurts, but it's good though. Like
Well,
which I never understood.
Here's another example of something that has grown on me, which is morning exercise. I get up every morning, I do sit-ups and push-ups. That's become a habit for me. That is, I think, I didn't like it at first, but now if I don't do it, I feel really bad. And I kind of like how it makes me look.
Start the day off right.
I feel like you, if you were a superhero, Dad, you'd be Captain Planet.
How so?
You would just look like Captain Planet, like kind of not all the way gay, but like a little bit gay with a mullet. If you could grow a mullet,
I think again that's Jeff Goldblum at work.
yeah,
Exactly.
maybe.
Interesting. Well, all right then. Yes. Well, I have been called just a little bit gay. I mean, you know, in appearance.
Just a
terms of appearance.
skosh.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable.
Because you
in
use
this
the word
discussion.
skosh.
I do use that. I do use skosh, a skosh.
I use skosh as much as I can.
Yeah.
Without seeming too gay.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, you
Sometimes
use
you can't help
skosh,
it.
you were already seeming a little too gay, but it's a fun word.
You know what?
Almost as fun as abortion.
I'll tell you what's. I'll tell.
Wow.
You're right. We've had that discussion, and it has a good mouthfeel. I think was the
Yeah.
consensus. Yeah.
Yeah, good mouthfeel.
Sure does. All right, you know what else has a good mouthfeel? That's right, everything you'll order at Ziff's. Fine dining and relaxed continental atmosphere in Invercargill, New Zealand. Proud fake sponsors of a Shinn Show. And after you're done with your delicious meal at Ziff's, head on over to a throne room. Actually, I think it's the throne room. Heavy tattoos after your light, refreshing continental meal at Ziff's, also in Invercargill, New Zealand, and also a fake sponsor of a Shinn Show. And time now for another shout out to Ben. Ben, thanks again for listening.
Unlike
We
the night
appreciate
in, the throne room really will treat you like royalty.
Right, unlike the Night's End. Good point. Yeah.
So, Elsie, what about you? What's some shit you didn't like but grew on you?
Definitely mustard. I would say seafood. Oh my God. I grew
Yeah.
up very landlocked. I thought fish was the devil because rainbow trout is disgusting. And that's the only thing I was exposed to. And then I moved to Maryland and I resisted the Maryland blue crab for several years until it was socially inappropriate to not accept. And oh my God, it's amazing. And now I love all sorts of crab and scallops and all sorts of seafood.
Now you could say that you're one of the crab people.
We live and die by the crab.
Well,
Yeah.
when you get crabs, you end up liking crabs, something like that.
I don't know.
All right.
All I know is that we eat Old Bay on everything. That's all I know. It's a Maryland tradition. And also, rainbow trout, here's a fun fact, doesn't taste like Skittles at all.
Yeah. Yeah, especially not when you eat it raw. When you snatch it out of a creek and bash its head in on a rock and then just bite into it.
Right.
You don't like Skittles at all, dude.
Right. You think you're going to taste the rainbow, but you just taste blood and fish guts.
Yeah, yeah. Which, look about the same going out as they do coming in.
But also, fun fact, the best way to kill the trout and yet keep it cold is to bash its head in with a rock.
Yeah.
Or
That's
a
usually my
titanium
solution
mallet.
to most, problems. Mallet or rock, whatever I have handy. If I can bash it with a mallet or a rock to make it stop being a problem, then
Problem solved.
problem solved.
It's pretty effective.
All right.
Yeah.
So, speaking of UFC, a couple of fights last night, I hear.
Yeah. Justin Gaethje sent Edson Barbosa to the Shadow Realm.
I
did.
saw that, man. I saw that clip. He just decked him left hook, it looked like.
Yeah, Yeah, and it was easy to miss, too. It seemed like he kind of clipped him, but he hit him right on that special spot on your jaw where it knocks you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Well,
Jaw/temple.
Yeah, he has that knockout power. That's what he did to James Vick when we saw him live in Lincoln at
Mhm.
UFC, whatever number it was. He just
Vic was real salty about it.
Well, yeah, 'cause Vic was, he's talking all this shit like he does, as he's wont to do. He's talking big shit, and then he got his lights turned off immediately. Not immediately, but within the first couple rounds. And that's what he did to Edson Barboza.
Was it the co-main that was finished in 45 seconds?
Oh, I
Yeah.
hate fights like that. It's like I have wasted my time.
Sometimes, if you pay for the fight, yeah, I would hate a fight like that, I suppose. But sometimes it's such an upset, you know what I mean? It's so crazy that it goes down like that. And sometimes it's such a violent knockout, you know what I mean?
This one wasn't a knockout, though. It was submission in 45 seconds, which I thought was
Who
pretty
was it?
impressive.
I can't
It was
fucking
Jack
remember.
Hermanson and David Branch, two middleweights that I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
really know.
yeah.
But
I don't know
it was
that
a guillotine, I think, wasn't it? No.
Yes.
Yeah, what arm and guillotine is what it was.
Yeah, kind of almost looked like a Von Flue choke from the back, I guess. But it's an arm and guillotine. That dude was ranked number 10, and the guy who got the submission and the guy who lost was not ranked and will continue to be not ranked.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how it works in the fight game. You get your 10th ranked guy to move up the ladder. You gotta beat some patsies. Got to beat some suckers.
He's not even on the ladder at all. He got beat by the fucking 10th ranked guy.
Yeah,
He tried to get up there, and then they just kind of smashed his face in with his foot.
Yeah, my point is that the
put it on
10th ranked guy
front.
might move up to 9th ranked now.
Maybe. I think.
I don't know how that
maybe.
works.
No, I think you have to fight to get someone's rank. To get higher in rank, you got to fucking fight a ranked fight.
The only other fight that I watched, there was a lot of fights, but I was watching early prelims before everyone came over, was Ray Borg and Casey Kenny. And they fought. Like, Ray Borg continuously in this fight would pick up Casey Kenny like he was a sack of potatoes and throw him into the middle of the ring and then try to submit him. But the judges said that Casey Kenny won that fight, which I thought was foolish.
You thought it was a bunch of hooey?
Pretty much. I mean, again, I don't know how they score those things because it's not like they release the point score or whatever, their point cards, but it seemed like bullshit.
Yeah,
Here's something we didn't watch, but I saw on Reddit. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson had his fight in ONE FC,
Oh yeah, I saw that was a thing.
and he won.
Not
Also by a
surprisingly.
guillotine choke, I think. Yeah, not surprising at all. He fought some Japanese dude. I don't think there's anyone in whatever weight division Mighty Mouse is in, there's no one in the world who's going to be.
Pound for
That's
pound,
fact.
one of the best fighters in the world, no question about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. His last fight that he lost, quote unquote, against Henry Cejudo, don't think he lost. I don't think he lost that at all.
No, that was another one where the judges were.
Yeah, where it's like, what the fuck were you watching, dude? Because Henry Cejudo's face is busted up, and Mighty Mouse looked fine. Although he did break his foot. He put a picture on Instagram after the fight. His foot was like purple because he was kicking Cejudo in the fucking head with it 100 times.
Yeah.
well, I know you're still bitter about it, but we've all just got to move on from our Mighty Mouse Johnson situation.
Well, I'm just saying the point is, like, that's the only fight he's lost in 11 years. You know what I mean?
And it was,
it's questionable loss. So don't think he's
I'll
going
look
to
up
lose.
that fight. The UFC, or what was it?
One FC.
One FC?
Yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
fighting champion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll merge with UFC if it actually makes any money. But
Maybe.
In the meantime, I will say that the March Madness has been pretty mad because you've got Texas Tech and Auburn that are both kind of Cinderellas. Looks like they're heading for the Final Four. And,
Auburn's in my Final Four team, so I'm super happy with that.
Yeah, I'm super unhappy because they crushed my dreams. I had a chance of winning it all. Thanks a lot, Kentucky. Thanks a lot. But on the other hand, I work with a guy who, graduated from Auburn. So for his sake, I would say, War Damn Eagle.
I'm going to guess that that's the Auburn war cry or something.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Auburn
they're
War
the Auburn Tigers, but their fucking
chant.
thing that they say is War Eagle.
Yeah. That's not War Tiger. I don't know why not. But then if you want to be really Southern, you throw a damn in the middle, so it's War Damn Eagle.
War Damn Eagle.
Okay.
Yeah.
As
Thank
Dwight
you for
Yoakam
breaking
would
that
say.
down for me.
And Dwight Yoakam would say that. He'd say War Damn Eagle because he's country.
Yoakum. I like that word, that last name, Yoakum.
Yeah, because it sounds
know
like
what?
hokum.
I've been talking about this. I don't trust people with two first names.
Right?
Bob Ryan, Bob Dylan, shady. Those kind of people are up to some, shady ball-licking activity at all times.
Like Gail Frank, for example.
yeah,
Casey
well,
Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know about Gail Frank.
Gail Frank, that's two first names. You tell me it isn't.
And
yeah,
one of
it
them's
is,
a girl's
but
name.
Gail is kind of
One's a woman's name.
Exactly.
yeah.
That makes it worse.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think it does make it worse.
That's all. Then it's up is down, tops are bottoms, everything's twisty turvy.
It's not the way God intended it.
Yeah,
That's
it's not the way a
unnatural.
Christian, God-fearing man would have it. That's for sure.
Far from it.
Just like
from it.
men named Kelly. Who all here knows men named Kelly? It's very odd.
I know.
R. Kelly.
I went to high school with a guy named Kelsey.
That's
Ooh.
weird.
Oh, that's awful.
Twice as weird. Mm.
Yeah.
Creepy.
I know a guy named Leslie.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's awful.
Well, we all know a guy named Leslie. Doesn't go by that, though.
I knew
Anyway,
a guy with the last name
Exactly.
Leslie.
I also know
No,
a guy
no,
named
first-
Kim.
A guy named him?
Kim.
Kim with
Yeah.
a K.
Kim Jong-il.
I know a guy named Jesus Santa, but it's spelled Jesus Santa.
That's cool.
Yes, it's
I
amazing.
love him.
Right?
Best friend.
Yes.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's
He
the
has to come
opposite
spend
of creepy.
Christmas
That's
with
like
us.
the best name. Those are the names that
Jesus
spark
Santa.
joy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, it does look good in a signature block, to be sure. But it is pronounced Jesus Santa.
That's not any worse. Like, honestly, I think that's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Jesus Santa better myself, but
I mean, it's
Well,
up
that's
to
because
you.
you're American and you like to butcher other people's customs.
wow. What? Well,
True.
we've already. It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
true. Anyway, yeah.
So here's my last little bit that I'd like to do here, and this is what we let's call this. I don't know. Let's call this far-fetched Kickstarters. And
Okay.
this week's far-fetched Kickstarter is a top hat ski mask. Let's
Oh,
discuss.
yeah, dude. I forgot about that. Yeah, last night I was talking about we should make a clothing line of top hats. Okay, but instead, like a really big top hat, but instead you pull it down all the way over your face, like to your fucking neck, and you just cut out eye holes and maybe a little mouth hole off to the side for a cigar. What do you think?
No.
Crickets. That's what we got.
It
From
would be
that.
called the shitting hat. All right. So every time you got to take a huge shit, so big in a public restroom that you don't want to be identified, you take this trusty dusty top hat out. Oh, no one thinks anything weird about that. You pull a ski mask out before you go into a gas station bathroom. People are gonna ask questions. So you pull a fucking top hat out, like a Doug Dimmadome top hat, and you pull it down to your fucking shoulders when you're in the bathroom. And you just got the little eye holes. I'm talking about the kind of shit where you don't want to do it at your own house because you're going to destroy the plumbing. You know you're going to have to take your clothes completely off so you can widen your stance and squat above the toilet bowl. All right? And you know you're going to need to light a cigar when you're in there, while you're in there, to just help everything loosen up and also to
Well, you also want the cigar lit in case the fumes are bad enough that you need it to explode and not be identified.
Yeah.
The best part of all this is I just farted in the sound booth while you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
boxing.
So yeah, shitting hat is what they'll be called, but it'll really be a top hat that you pull down over your face.
All right. Well, that's about as good as half the cat.
Hey, we could also do it with cowboy hats too.
Right.
Even better.
Region-specific hats is really
Or a bowler hat, I guess.
Or a cat in the hat. You know how I like those. Conductor hats.
Yeah, a train conductor hat. I mean, if you it needs to be something that goes over your mouth, like your whole face, except for the
and none of those hats can.
No, only a top hat can, Sarah. Don't you get it?
Don't you understand? You're not seeing my vision.
All right. Yeah, you've got a real founder in you there, son. A real founder.
Yeah, it's my invention.
Yeah. Better patent that shit.
Yeah, the shitting hat. And also, maybe you got to take a violent shit, but you're nowhere near a toilet. Boom, you flip that sucker upside down and you got yourself a portable John.
It does come with a strap that you can either put under your chin or around your waist.
I think that's all right.
To just wear it as some sort of shit and receptacle at all times, like you're some sort of horse drawing a carriage or something. Yeah, this is getting better.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to fund this immediately.
So I'm just asking for a $250,000 investment.
Well, why don't you go ahead and just start selling it at $250 a pop? I'm sure you can get 1,000 people to do that.
Shitting hats. Shittinghat.com.
It's ridiculous. All right. So anyway, speaking of pop culture, just real quick before we wrap up, because we got to wrap up at some point. Anybody see or read anything this week? Because I didn't. That other than we're like midway through season 4 of The Sopranos.
I watched episode 1 of The Sopranos.
Woohoo!
It was long.
Yes.
And very 90s, but it was worth watching the next episode. So I'm dipping my toes into that. We also went to go see Us, which was interesting. I mean, I liked it, except I had problems with how it ended.
So, hang on. Was it your view, like Nick's last week, that Us was a decent horror film, but that it was not as good as Get Out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Get Out was just cooler.
Well, Get Out, it was cooler, but it also wrapped everything up more neatly.
Yeah, at the end. And I'm not trying to knock Us either. Like, Us is still a good horror movie. You know?
Like a psychological horror. It was pretty good. And it was still funny, which I enjoyed. Like, they had excellently timed comedic breaks.
Yeah.
Like, in a lot of horror movies, it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
But the pacing and everything was really good. I just had some issue. There was a lot of hand waving at the end, I felt like. So
yeah, I understand. To make things go away or just wrap things up.
Yeah. Or to put that final twist on it. So it's like that was completely unnecessary. And now you've made me question more than anything else. So that's bad storytelling.
All right.
Bad storytelling.
So 3.5 out of 5 stars or only 3?
I'd give it 3.5.
Fair enough. All right, perhaps we'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Can You Ever Forgive Me on my flight to Atlanta the other day. And it was good. I feel like the dialogue could have been better. It could have been better written. There were some parts that were a little slow or maybe not as joined together as they could have been. But Melissa McCarthy, hands down, did a fabulous job. Obviously see why she was nominated. Yes?
I read that. I did go see that. I was trying to figure out what this movie was, but I too went to go see it. So
yeah, what did you think?
It was weird.
Right? But she
weird.
did a great job, didn't she? Like, you kind of want to hang out with her, but at the same time, she's this like crazy cat lady. So no.
Yeah. Gross, crazy, depressed cat lady.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
Very believable.
I thought that was a great role for her as a typically, slapstick comedy actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought she did a great job.
So she transitioned to a more serious role.
Yeah, and she did it pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, like in most of her other roles, she's very likable. Even when she's crazy at first, she ends up likable. This one, she's never actually likable, but at the same time, relatable. And you're like, yeah, I feel like I have met that person. So that was cool. And then on the flight back, I started watching The Favorite because girl power and whatnot. But I didn't actually get to finish that movie. And it definitely was a lot more strange than I expected. And I actually did not really like the Queen's acting at all. So why she won the Academy Award, I mean, good for her, but what?
She did? Really?
Yeah, totally. She beat Melissa McCarthy. I was like, what?
Who was the Queen? Who played the Queen?
Olivia Colman.
Never heard of her.
Exactly.
Well,
if anybody was going to win an Academy Award in that one, it should have been Rachel Weisz.
No shit, right? Like, definitely, hands down, she should have won. And I'm like, why is the Queen even the lead actress? She has fewer lines. She's not that interesting. She's fucking crazy and annoying.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Hey, you know what movie I saw a couple, like maybe a month or two ago that was really good?
What's that?
Annihilation.
Oh, starring whom?
Keira Knightley or...
Oh, yeah, and
No, not
Oscar
Keira
Isaac.
Knightley. It wasn't Keira Knightley. It was
Natalie Portman and
Oh,
Oscar
really?
Isaac.
Yeah, that movie was fucking good.
That
I
was
liked
good.
it a lot. I like those movies where at the end it's the question of like, is it like,
Did we survive?
did we survive? Am I the real person? Am I the real one or am I
Oh my God, what if I'm not real?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, The Matrix turned 20 today. 20 years old. 20 years ago, The Matrix was released in theaters.
Still holds up, I think.
Oh, no question about it. Still one of the...
I need to watch it. I want to watch all those movies again. Well, the first one at least.
Right, the first of the three, for sure.
For sure, the first one.
Yeah, second and third.
I really like The Matrix.
Oh, yeah, The Matrix is
we
one
used
of
to watch
them.
that a lot on Thanksgiving at Grandma's house.
I never watched it when I was old enough to know what the fuck was going on. I just saw
Right.
Keanu Reeves doing kung fu on guy in suits.
Right.
What
I
more
will
do you
say
need
this, though.
as a child?
What a
Made an
perfect,
impression.
what a perfect Thanksgiving movie, though. You know,
Yeah.
hey, let's all be grateful that we're not living in a simulation, or are we?
Or are we?
I do enjoy when people tell me they have deja vu. I tell them that The Matrix has them.
It's true. That Matrix does have you. Hey, I did watch one movie this week on Netflix. It's called Winter's Bone, starring Jennifer Lawrence. It's a 9-year-old movie. It was her breakout role in 2010 when she was just like 17 or whatever, maybe 18.
A wee babe.
Yes, I think she was nominated for an Academy Award for it, and I can see why. It is a dark tale of Missouri rednecks, and having lived in Missouri for 4 years, I found it eminently relatable. So, there you go.
Did you ever watch 3 Billboards?
Yes.
In Ebbing, Missouri?
Yeah.
Actually,
No.
so some of the real redneck guy, Sam,
Sam
whatever.
Rockwell?
Yes.
Yeah.
So his character, not unlike Dwight Yoakam in Sling Blade.
Ah, yes. Excellent
Yeah.
comparison.
Hey, you know what? Winter's Bone sounds like a porn parody movie of Frozen.
It does, but it
Or
wasn't.
some Game of Thrones type thing.
Right.
Bone.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
all
that
right.
probably
Sorry.
is the thing.
Yeah, probably so. We need to not look that up. All right.
We need to not look that up.
All right.
Anyway, what about 3 Billboards, Sarah?
Nothing. It's a good
Oh.
Missouri movie.
Good
Yep.
Missouri-based film. Yeah. There's not that many of them, so.
I really liked that movie.
Me too.
I like Sam Rockwell, so I should probably watch it.
Heck yes. It was very poignant.
Very poignant.
I liked that it was very pro-midget.
I
no.
totally forgot about that.
Okay, so here's another line from Sling Blade. You know I can't so much as drink a glass of water around a piece of antique furniture or a midget.
Yeah, I was gonna bust that. I was gonna shoehorn that line in somewhere, but I never got around to it.
Well,
By the
here
way,
we
they're
go.
little people, and we don't condone the use of the word midget. We
Right.
just say it a lot.
What words do we not condone in this podcast? I think the words are
Any of the words
abortion,
that come out of our mouths. let's be-
Retard.
abortion,
Billy Bob
retard.
retard.
Yeah.
No, retard's okay. Retard, not so much.
Right, because if Voldemort was retarded, he'd be retorted. So there you go.
Billy Bob retard would be his name.
Hey, you sure would. Well, what a great
I think
show.
we just need to put a great big black sensor over the last, 35 seconds.
Or 35 minutes. Any event, so great show, kids. Great show. Anything that we're missing?
I'm just
Here's
looking
one-
forward to next week's episode when Nick rubs shit in his hair.
Yeah.
And
I
drools.
will drool and rub shit on my hair right here in front of the camera.
Right, very good. Which is a shame that no one will see it because we're doing an audio podcast.
Yeah. Usually I just do it, like I said, in the privacy of my own home at 4
You have to
o'clock
do
in the
it
morning.
and describe it in just grotesque detail.
Okay, I'm taking the shit. I got the shit in my hand. All right, the shit's in my hair now. All right, I'm drooling all over the floor. Ta-da!
Well, I guess we
Not
don't have.
grotesque. That's just gross.
I guess we don't have to wait till next week, do we? We can do it right fucking now. All right. All right. Anything else, then? What a great place to stop. A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shinn family, which are exclusively their own. It's brought to you on a fake basis by Ziff's, fine dining in Invercargill, New Zealand, and by The Throne Room, heavy tattoos in Invercargill, New Zealand. Also, fake sponsors of A Shinn Show. You can listen to A Shinn Show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you get podcasts. All right.
All right, leave the beatboxing to the professionals.
That's a good point. All right, kids. Good to talk to you.
Yeah. It's good to
Do
talk.
those things.
Yeah, conversate and
Whatnots?
whatnots.
I'm gonna go have banana cake. Nice talking to you.
All right, I'm gonna
love
get some
banana
runza. I'm gonna get some motherfucking runza. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some chicken strips, right? Them ballin' ass chicken
Ooh.
strips. But hold up, then I'm gonna get a double cheeseburger and I'm gonna say, don't put nothing on that motherfucker. Make it plain. And then I'm gonna take those chicken strips and I'm gonna put it on that fucking cheeseburger, dog. And then I'm gonna turn it into a little bit of butt chocolate and destroy my fucking bathroom using my patented shitting hat.
Listen here, you monster. Why wouldn't you put some dipping sauce on that burger?
No, I haven't put ketchup and mustard. I just don't want any.
Then it's not plain. You misled me.
It's plain, no lechuga, okay? I don't like tomatoes. I don't like lettuce. I don't like none of that picante. You know what I'm saying? I
No
just want,
rutabaga.
yeah.
No turnips.
That's
No
what
turnips.
That's
I
what
don't want
runs this
foliage.
thing.
I don't want a police badge on my fucking sandwich. I don't want any, like, someone's skull cap or hair or anything like that. Any, anatomical parts of a human or doll, really.
No
Like
jewelry.
that. No jewelry. No coins.
I just want the patty.
I just want the burger, all right?
No detritus, whatever. No.
Yeah, no detritus.
It's a good word, detritus.
It is. Yeah. It's a little recondite, but that's all right.
All right. I'll pretend that I know what that means.
Obscure. It means obscure.
It's an obscure word for obscure.
It certainly is. That's what I like about it.